Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome to the Players Club Podcast, a podcast by the players for the people, and I'm your host, Darian Richard. Episode 20. This is a mile marker for us. Episode 20. 20 is just a good number. It means you've kind of been doing this for a little bit. We got some momentum. So I just want to thank you guys. Like I say every week, thank you for tuning in, checking in on us, supporting us, showing us love, all of the above. And if you are like a kind of a day one Players Club podcast member, y'all know where I'm at. I'm not in Florida anymore. I'm back at the crib. I'm back in my Clemson domain. This is where it all started. So we're back. It's good to be back. I'm back here for Pro Day coming up on Thursday. And next week I'll have like a whole recap on how Pro Day went. Any questions you guys want to know, hit me up. But we'll be sure to get you all the details about Pro Day. It's going to be a big day. Wishing the best for me and my guys, trying to chase that dream to get to the next level. So looking forward to all of that and looking forward to having a good day. But this week, look, hey, we're trying to keep this thing rolling. Like I say every time I get on this podcast, and you guys motivate me to go get the best guests I can. And so we got my man, he's hot right now. Like, he just became the new coach of Oklahoma. But Coach Venables, legend, former Clemson DC, formerly known as Jimmy Green Beans, the man, the myth, the legend, Coach Venables is joining us on the podcast today. And you guys are in for a treat. Seriously, Oklahoma fans, Clemson fans, college football fans, if you run a business, you need to take notes. Seriously, if you want to run a business one day, take notes. It's going to be great for so many reasons, so many ways. So you guys stay tuned for that coming up next. But I want to give a big shout out to my friends at Mogul. So if you see the podcast, the emblems like Embassy Row and Mogul partner with me to bring you guys a Players Club podcast. And so I want to give a big shout out to them. They won a pitch contest at South by Southwest, which is a huge win for tech companies. So big rounds of applause from our partners on the podcast. They're doing big things. We're doing big things, and we're here. So big shout out to Mogul. Wish me luck at Pro Day. But now we're going to get to the man I was telling you guys about just a second ago. Coach V, now the new head coach at the University of Oklahoma, full of passion, full of intensity, and just he's a big reason I went to Clemson. So before he comes on, I just want to say this. So Coach Venables recruited me. He recruited my area, and throughout my entire journey, getting hurt and all that stuff, he stuck by my side, always encouraged me, just told me to keep going. And when I was thinking about not playing college football, he was like, man, you need to give it a shot. He's, I'm going to get you a preferred walk-on spot at Clemson, and I believe you come here, you can make a name for yourself. And so, little story, I haven't thought about a story in years. Okay. I did not sign, usually preferred walk-ons, you sign on signing day. I didn't sign. And I was just waiting on Coach Venables to give me a spot. And so the week after graduation, context, I'm done with high school. I got accepted to Clemson, but I didn't know if I was going. He calls me. I'm doing like a CrossFit workout. I don't know. And I get a call from Coach Venables. And I'm like, I was telling my friends, get away. I get a call from Coach V. And he's like, hey, how you doing? And like, I'm doing great, Coach. I'm doing great. He's like, hey, I got you a spot. And I'm like, literally all the emotions. And I'm like, no way. I'm going to Clemson to play football. I'm on the team. And so just know Coach V will always have a spot in my heart. My man, he fought for me to get to Clemson and has been a great example for me for all the years past. So super excited for all the success and looking forward to you guys getting to see the insights of an incredible man. So coming up next, new head coach of Oklahoma, former, probably one of the best DCs ever in college football, Coach Venables, coming up. All right, episode 20, joined by one of my favorite people. We both decided to leave Clemson at the same exact time, so I guess we have some synergy there. But one of the biggest reasons I made it to Clemson was my coach throughout all my years. Coach Venables joined the Players Club podcast. What's up, Coach?
Hey, how you doing, Darian? Great to have be on here with you.
Yeah, man, glad to have you. We're gonna get right into it. Obviously, lots been going on the past couple months. But first of all, the first question I got for you is, what have you done with all your Clemson gear?
I got a small little section at my Clemson, at my lake house. So when in Rome, you can do as the Romans do. I do have 2 sons that are still part of the team and 2 nephews still part of the team. So I'm still a little bit invested, but I actually had some good friends that were the benefactors of a lot of Clemson gear.
All right, so obviously people have watched you throughout your time at Clemson, and they've seen you be a DC for forever, and you've been a candidate for a lot of jobs. I know, especially you and Coach Elliott have been the top of a lot of people's lists. What was it about the Oklahoma job that made you want to go?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things. I think the relationships that I've had there previously, having worked there for 13 years, Joe Castiglione, President Harris, so many people in the community, in the university community, and in the community. All four of my children were born there. Bob Stoops is still a really big part of the program as well. And just a lot of, great memories. And it's one of the most tradition-rich programs in the history of college football. To have an opportunity to be the head coach there was a no-brainer. Has the most wins in college football in the modern era, and one of the most stable programs in a profession that's really hard to find stability and the chance to win at the highest level. To have the opportunity to be the head coach there at a place I'm very familiar with, I love dearly, was again a no-brainer. I wish it wouldn't have made it so easy for me. That one again is again, I'll be the first to tell you, man, I was not looking to leave Clemson at all. I had no intention whatsoever. Had to be the absolute right one at the right time with the right people, with the right alignment. And this certainly came out of nowhere, out of left field, to say the least, because of the timing of the departure of Lincoln Riley. And, they won 78 games the last 7 years. So I don't know if you're taking over a Ferrari, but, taking over a program like Oklahoma with all those things that I just said, was just too easy, I should say. I had a great deal of peace about it. Sad as I was to leave an amazing place like Clemson, and just the comfort, the support, the relationships, the love for the players, the opportunity to win at the highest level, and probably have half the problems, if not more. When you sit in the head coach seat, sure. Just different issues you have. Instead of managing 50 guys, you're managing 125 guys. Plus, you're the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company, really. To be honest, when you're at a football school like Oklahoma, that's essentially what you are. So I recognize that as well. But God's been working on me and preparing me for this moment for a long time. And then Coach Sweeney went in and did the things that he's done for me to equip me for this moment as well. So that's kind of a long-winded answer to you what made this one the right one. But they just they made an incredible offer to me and my family, and again, just too good to pass up.
No, but seriously, great answer. And I think when I feel like as players, we were always wondering, like, all right, Coach V's got another job here. Like, is he ever going to leave? Will he ever be a head coach? And then there was and you can talk about this, like, there was this thing of, like, everybody was like, does Coach V even want to be a head coach? Like, did that desire, like, come about recently? Have you always thought about being a head coach? Did you want the stress, like you talked about, of managing that many people? Like, when did you decide that you, like, all right, I actually want to be a head coach one day?
Well, I've always had that ambition. But I've also not been naive enough not to believe that the great job just falls out of the sky. It typically doesn't happen. And so for me, I was super patient. I've always been very loyal and try to be great right where my feet are, and been incredibly patient. And I've been so busy trying to be great where I have been, whether that was Kansas State or that was Oklahoma or even Clemson, where I was so busy trying to be great and be great for the people that I was with, the players, the coaches, my colleagues, the families, the fans, that I didn't have time for distractions. Some people would say, like when I talked about contentment and thankfulness for the job I had, and I love what I do. Sometimes people misconstrued that for never wanting to be a head coach or not head coach material. I never said I'm not head coach material. I've never said, oh, I don't ever want to be a head coach. I just, people didn't ask the right questions, and I'm not one to try to manipulate words, but I've also, I also believe you don't screw up happy, and so Clemson gave me complete and total fulfillment in so many ways, but the opportunity to coach it, be the head coach at Oklahoma, was just a whole nother animal. Like, I've always had this piece knowing that if I don't ever become a head coach, that's never been my singular focus. Like, right. Oh man, I gotta do this, accomplish this so I can get this. I've never been that way. And you can be successful that way. And there's probably more people than not that work the corporate ladder that way. Take this job to take this and get this promotion so I can get this. And I've just never spent any time with that.
Everybody was excited to see you leave because of, like you said, the relationships were so real and the love that you put out here, it wasn't phony, never was fake, and nobody ever seemed like you were trying to do this just to get to somewhere else. It was genuine. And so when you left, I don't think any foreign player, any current player I think everybody was excited to see. And you kind of hit on something I think is huge, and especially now, like Coach Swinney's coaching tree is finally getting there. It's taking a longer time than other coaches because it's going to end up probably better just because of the roots they're playing it. But now you see, I think some of Coach Swinney's vision, like you talked about, like he ultimately wanted to change college football, and obviously you changed it through Clemson. But he always talked about how he wanted the coaches that came through here and the players that came through here to go on and take Clemson's culture on elsewhere. And so, like you were talking about, what are the things? Obviously, you got to mix them up a little bit when you take them to OU. But like, what are the things that you want to bring to that program now that you've seen either from Clemson or you just adopted throughout your experience in college football? Like, what is the DNA of OU about to be?
And that's a great question. I mean, I think as much as anything, it starts with real, genuine, authentic relationships and relationship building. We're in a people business. I think it can be really easy to start focusing on the strategy and, and it becoming a transactional, experience, especially when you focus on just the winning. And so it's really, as we say, keep the main thing, right? Focusing on the relationships, the culture, the values, certainly education, creating more opportunities than the game itself will. It's a young man's game. You can't play it forever. It's going to end for everybody. And so just preparing guys with real, tangible, life-changing type tools that are going to equip them as husbands and as fathers and as businessmen, as believers, as leaders in their communities, to really, take advantage of the very small window that you have with them to help facilitate all of their dreams, many of them that they don't even know that's inside of them. So you gotta, I think, before you're going to get true commitment from young men, you gotta have connection first.
Right.
And so having a program that's built foundationally on exactly that. And so focusing on the culture and nurturing that, protecting that, watering it, pruning it, and then being intentional about the right people that you bring in. You can lose your way in a hurry if you feel the pressure to win. And that's always going to be there. Like, nobody's expectations and pressure is going to be more than what you put on yourself. Like, every time you go to the practice field, you have an expectation of what winning and dominating looks like and how to try to quantify that. To me, that's the easy stuff. I think focusing on the relationships and the accountability that you got to have. You want a culture of education, a culture of relationships, a culture of accountability. And so you really, in some ways, you just keep it simple.
Yeah.
And you develop the standards and, again, your values, the purpose of your program. For me, I grew up in a lot of dysfunction, and my mom said, well, if I heard it once, I heard it a million times. I can't get that job. I can't get that job. I can't get that job that has benefit. Mom, how come? Why can't we be like my friends? Why are you letting these men stay in our house? They're abusing you and hitting you, and we don't have to drink every day. Just the lifestyle like that I witnessed growing up. She, if I heard it once, I heard it a million times. Just, I don't have a degree. And this thing called a degree. Okay, what's that? Well, you got to go to college, and you got to education, and you got to spend a lot of time, to get this thing called degree, so you can get a better job, so you can get benefits, so you don't have to rely on government assistance or maybe stay in a bad relationship to supplement your income.
Right.
And so that's I saw that very clearly, as a young person. Okay, I got to get this college degree so I don't have this. This is how you don't. So I'm always thinking, when I get big, someday when I become a dad, I'm not going to do X, Y, Z. I'm going to get that degree. I'm going to have a home that's loving and nurturing. And I had a lot of love from my mom, make no mistake about it, but she was just stuck, and we were just in a bad environment for way too long. And then every time, I had any kind of experience on all my youth teams, I just always had great experiences. And the one common denominator was coaches. There was male figures pouring encouragement into my life, just good, thoughtful words, believing in me when it was hard to believe in myself.
Yeah.
And so I put education and coach and just how impactful both of those, life-changing, generational change that both of those brought to me. And that's how Coach V became Coach V. And I had my opportunity. Bob Stoops asked me if I wanted to be a graduate assistant after playing at Kansas State. And I was like, sure. Well, I was still figuring everything out. And then I just fell in love with it. And so that's how I became me. But having that culture of graduation, I know, I definitely know what it looks like to have an opportunity to change your circumstances, to give you fuel and reason why not to live like this. And goals of graduating, goals of doing something with your life, becoming something through all this, that inspired me. So, how as we know, sometimes so many people let the circumstances that they're surrounded with, those negative things that are going on, be excuses to continue to do those same things and live that same style of life. And I lost a brother to addiction that he just couldn't overcome the demons. And he was a functioning alcoholic. I lost him while I was at Clemson within hours of losing a player to addiction, in Austin Box. And just a very devastating thing for, families involved. And talk about, scarring you up and changing your life. And I'm not talking about just me. I'm talking about the family, the Box family, or certainly even our family losing my brother. So, that we know what, again, those circumstances, and Austin comes from great circumstances. He just, the demons got him too. And he didn't even, just one of those young naive things. That's not really the point of this talk, but, when you get in, put yourself in harm's way. And but again, for me, I use those circumstances, growing up in the same home as my brother did, to give me purpose through all that pain. And God made a mess and gave me a message through it all. And it was very clear for me at a young age what I wanted to do, how I was going to quantify success. And then just inspired me and gave me the courage and the vision, to and equip me to go do it.
No doubt. As you talk about becoming Coach V, so now you're officially a head coach. And be honest here, what has been the biggest shock or adjustment you have had to make being a head coach?
Oh, biggest shock or adjustment? There's been a whole bunch of not necessarily shock, but things that you have to deal with. And when I went to Clemson at 41 years old, up to that point, it had a really successful career. I left Kansas State. We were the number one team in college football, the number one defense in college football when I left Kansas State to go to Oklahoma. And then we go on a 13-year run where we played for 4 national championships and I don't know, it's like 7 conference 7 or 8 conference championships. The winningest team in college football during that 13-year period of time. So kind of full of myself. And so I go to Clemson, and what I found out in a very humbled way was that you can't just take everything with you, put it in your suitcase and pack it up with you and go. And so that your relationships, your trust, your respect, all your success, you can't just take it with you. You gotta, as you know, as we know, you gotta start over from scratch. It don't matter. None of that matters. Right. You gotta start completely over. And for me, I'm pretty antsy. Anybody that knows me, I want it now. And so I had to be humbled when I went to Clemson. That was a very humbling thing for me. I didn't say anything to my family, but every day I was like, golly, what happened? You know, I'm like, I knew I put it in here. I'm looking through the suitcase, man. I can't find it. Yeah, it ain't in there, brother. You know, it's not there. You got to start over. And it takes time. All those things take time. And when I went to Oklahoma, I used that experience. I have used that in so many ways to be more patient. Yeah. Whether it's hiring the right people, choosing players that we want to offer scholarships to, making tough decisions on some of the transfer portal opportunities that we had. Deciding I had all this support staff money. How was I going to divvy that up? What you do proves what you believe, right? What you do proves exactly what you believe. And so for me, what I saw, one of the first thing that I witnessed when I went to Clemson was Jeff Davis and the Paul Journey. And I'll use this as the segue. Like, yeah. Our players, I think they know, and I know Coach Sweeney tells them over and over and over, but the players at Clemson, which you got to understand is your norm is abnormal. Your norm is very abnormal. So whether that's life skills and development, that's the bistro. Nobody got the bistro. Nobody got the bistro. The bistro does not exist except in Utopia in Clemson, right? Nobody's got, like, not just the castle, okay, the applied science lab, but the people that run it too that are passionate. The BINA, the physical therapist. Nobody has Paul Harrington, full-time. I say nobody. I'm talking just a couple of places on the planet, okay? Or a Nikki, a Hallie, the whole team in Paul Journey, like a team of people that love and are passionate about what they do every day. You don't have a whole staff of Mike Dooley's and DJ Gordon's and so many people, legends, and that make that place. And then Woody McCorvey, that, man, he's thinking 10 years down the road, and it's all about what's best for the players. And then you got Coach Sweeney that, we know where he's all in on everything that's good for the players, man. He's fighting tooth and nail every single day to never be satisfied, to always be innovative and forward thinking, to make everything even better. Like they just built a brand new facility, 2017 moved in after having just moved in from another facility across the street in 2010. Okay. Yeah. And they play for 4 national championships. And guess what? They're building a NIL facility, and they're building 100 yards of wellness. And there's more projects on the way. Like, never satisfied, never staying still, always kicking out walls, always progressing as a program. And that's that hunger, that lack of complacency. That's what helps you sustain and be at the top of your game. And it's not just having the good people, and it's not just having the resources, but it's having the right intentions of the people that are touching all of those different areas. And so that's abnormal. And so for me, I was very aware of that as a coach, and recognized that, okay, I've got some resources. How do I divvy these up? So for me, the first thing, again, what you do proves what you believe. I knew our players needed it was all about ball. My thought was that what I saw, it was more about just ball. And we won 78 games in the last 7 years, played in 4 of the last 6 playoffs. They've been pretty good. Okay.
Yeah.
But we still, what's missing? You know, what's missing? What's sustainable? And why are we not, we're getting there, but why are we not finishing the deal? You know, why are we, you know, to me as a program, not where we need to be, you know, really, you know, good, but I'm talking about going from good to great, you know, great. I don't hardly ever use that word. Great's a really big word to me. It's a very small company to be great. Player, you know, unit, team. Great's a whole nother word. A lot of times people use that very loosely, and I'm not a real big believer in that. But, you know, so for me, hiring, and not just hiring, you know, a life skills and development team called the Soul Mission, an acronym for serving our uncommon legacy.
I like
and
that.
Really talking about, you know, reaching the souls of our players, changing, strengthening their souls, their hearts through their college experience, through the game of football, through their platforms, finding the right people, you know, that have testimonies, that have passion for serving, that are well diversified in who they are as people too, you know, what their belief systems are, connection and passion maybe to the university or to the game itself, and that want to mentor and lead and help change generations of young men's lives. And so, you know, finding the right people, you know, was critical for me in doing exactly that, you know, to lead the Soul Mission. And so I saw that was the first programmatic thing that I was exposed to when I first came out to Clemson. And I was like, aha, you know, that's
The secret sauce.
Yeah, secret sauce. And again, it's not just having it. It's not a check the box thing. It's the intentions, the true, genuine, deep-seated intentions of those people. And that's what, as we know, that's what always, you know, separates. And so just, again, I think, you know, you learn from the wise. And so I just try to learn from so many different people. But that was my number one goal. And then, you know, at the same time to connect with the players. So I try to get, you know, most of the guys came through my office in the first week. And of course I'm on the road and there's a lot going on, you know, I'm press conferences and I'm trying to get into all these recruits home, you know, that a lot of guys bailing ship, which is fine. Hey man, that's cool. I'm not like, my feelings weren't hurt. I don't want anybody that doesn't really, truly, deeply want to be here. Like, that's okay. You know, we'll find somebody. We got them lined up all the way down to Cancun, Mexico that want to come to Oklahoma. You know, we're having to turn them away. But I say that with all due respect to the process. But I needed to start to connect with our players immediately and find out, let them know who I am, and find out what their needs are and what I can do in the short term to make things better, to bridge a gap. And, you know, so connecting with the players, hiring my life skills program. Certainly, you know, the recruiting was a high demand thing for me during that time, assessing the roster, assessing our staff, and then, you know, trying to bring in the right type of men, you know, and women to be on our staff as well. But, you know, over the first 3 months, I'm just a little over 3 months. I needed to do a good assessment of where we were and what we're lacking. And none of it's been hard. It's just demanding, you know, like exactly. I think being a good leader, you got to solve problems, you know, you got to be a problem solver, and developing a culture, creating a set of expectations, and making sure that I'm rehearsing my beliefs to everybody that touches the players, and to make sure that the staff has a very clear vision of that, what those expectations are, what those standards are, what those values are, again, what the purpose of our program is about, you know, to clearly define those to anybody and everybody's going to be either in that locker room that's going to touch those players' lives. And so I'm trying to bridge a lot of relationships, you know, at the university, and to make it very inclusive to the university community. Oklahoma's, man, that's a
Yeah.
big time university. So
I
whether
know. I've
there's
heard,
other,
man. I've heard.
yeah, so whether there's other sports teams that have had incredible success, or certainly the academician and the leadership from an academic support standpoint, and just the university community. So really try to be thoughtful and mindful of developing relationships, and again creating bridges and trying to galvanize and bring people together. Find out maybe where some of those relationships have been and what we need to do to make them to get them where they need to be moving forward.
Yeah.
And
I do love the fact of one of the things like leaving Clemson is meeting guys from different schools, SEC, ACC, Big Ten, Pac-12. Is you alluded to, you can win a lot of places. You can win a lot of places, but you can't become a man at every place. And so that was looking back at my Clemson experience. That's one thing I admire, and to hear you doing that at Oklahoma is admirable as well, because I think that's huge for these young guys coming in, because like a lot of guys everybody wants to win, but I think deep down more so as you like progress in life, you become you leave, you graduate from college, you'll be thankful that you became a man. And so it's cool to hear about the soul, and just to hear you carry that legacy on and continue to make it more than just ball. Another thing I want to touch on real quickly before we move to a really good topic that people want to hear about is you talked about guys leaving Oklahoma, and that was something that you obviously you don't want to see happen, but you couldn't control. I just said it's been cool to see you handle that, the guys leaving, and then just knowing like some of the guys at Clemson, like you didn't take anybody, you didn't take any kids with you. And as we know in college football, a lot of times that does happen, where a coach will leave and he'll take players. So how, in your thought process, how did you manage guys leaving and also being, I don't know if the word's loyal, but being respectable to the place you just left?
Well, that's part of that's really easy. I hired some staff from Clemson, and to me, just trying to provide opportunities for another professional environment. It's one thing to deal with grown men with families that are looking for continued development or even promotion in some examples. Maybe just even a new opportunity to continue to build their resumes. That's one thing, but to pry on the emotions of 18 and 19 and 20 and 21-year-old young people, is just not right to me. And, wrong is wrong, even if everyone's doing it. Right is right, even if no one's doing it.
Yep.
And so just knowing the emotions. I got 2 nephews and 2 sons in college, and I got 2 daughters that are 12 and 13. I know emotions. I know immaturity. I know the wind changes, and man, you're going another direction. The highs and the lows, and how influential young people can be. Obviously, so and they're at a very vulnerable state. And then a coach leaves, and then everybody, or the circle sometimes can start saying, "Oh yeah, like things are changing." One person leaves, man. Like Clemson, every bit as good without me. And so that was, even when there's been people that have tried to reach out and say, "Hey, do you think, what should I do?" like this is pretty easy. You need to stay your booty right where you're at. All your the success you've had up to this point is because of the environment. It's because of Coach Sweeney. It's because of the people that are there. That program, the values, its standards. That's not changing whatsoever. And again, just trying to do what's right. College football, I love the innocence about college football. One thing I love about the college game that's not as endearing at the professional is that, professionally, kids can just come and go, or players can come and go through free agency. And when I grew up, you had these dynasties, players were drafted and they stayed and they developed, and that's how you knew them. They were the faces of the organization. Coaches stayed, players stayed, and that was so cool. And through the free agent market that was developed, and I don't know all the tentacles that were part of that, but through that, to me, started to just for my own personal, as a fan, my personal preference, it started to crumble the dynasties and just start to lose the connection to the game and the teams. So you see it in baseball, you see it in NBA basketball, and everybody's like, "Oh, I got to get mine. I got to get that bag and whatever." That's fine. That's fine. To each his own. I'm not a big fan of that, and so I'm hopeful that leadership will circle back on this and try to create better parameters, for young people. The adults in the room right now are not doing a great job of leading and keeping these young people out of harm's way. And so for me, it's in so many ways, it was a very easy decision. And no one player, 2 or 3 players, whatever, is worth, just, having a good name, trying to stand for something and trying to do what's right. Some people are like, well, they got in the portal, so now, it's fair game. I didn't recruit them. They were in the portal. Okay, I got you. Okay. Whatever, so I just, I can tell you right now, even if guys got in that portal, I know exactly where our loyalties would lie. And, there's too many other good players that you can recruit to meet your needs. And instead of, again, as I've said, biting the hands that feed you. So anyway, that's my thought.
For sure. I think that's a great answer, and I feel like it's very well said. And I think Coach, moving on, I think it's been cool to obviously see the Oklahoma dynasty rise again with Coach Venables at the forefront. But I do want to hit on something. Coach Venables became a legend at Clemson. There was another man named Jimmy Greenbeans who became a legend during his Clemson days. Tell the people who Jimmy Greenbeans is.
He was this terrible scout team quarterback so years ago, maybe we had a year where we didn't have a great scout team quarterback with the right kind of mindset that could kind of take over. As you know, you're only as good as the people you're practicing against every day. Right. So when you start going against the look squad, as opposed to good on good, sometimes, the level of physicality, the level of precision, the level of athleticism, right, everything is diminished. So to get the right look, so game day is easier, you got to get a lot out of that scout team. It's a critical component of your week-to-week preparation and the kind of season that you're going to have. So, you got to coach players. You got to get them better. You got to get them from week to week, change the scheme, change the techniques, have the right mindset, the right attitude, the right juice, the right competitiveness, the right execution, the right precision to stress, because we all get better when we're stressed, when we're under duress, when you turn the heat up. And so, if everything's easy and there's no stress, man, there's no growth, man. Without true challenge, there is no change. And so the best teams I've ever been on, one thing you do as the season goes, man, you get better week to week to week. So you're completely and totally reliant on that scout team's development and improvement too. So sometime when we first got to Clemson, we that scout team quarterback wasn't getting the motion there. He wasn't doing things on time. He wasn't commanding respect. Something wasn't going right. So I'm standing there like this. And it was through some of those moments and that it just became the norm, where I was taking the snaps at scout team quarterback, and the players liked it. We were a lot more efficient, a lot less redos. And whether that's shifts or that's motions or that's timing or it's executing what I wanted exactly on the card because I drew the card or I helped put the cards together. I know where the stress points are from the defensive standpoint, and I wanted to manipulate things in such a way to get what I wanted out of it quicker and better than the scout team guy that just got out of high school and he's not even shaven yet. Never been on a date, don't know how to drive a car. And
I will say this, as a former scout team guy, so that's how me and Coach Venables got really close. So I played scout team for 2 years. And I will say, the most respect you'll get from Coach V is winning that scout team quarterback job. And I remember guys like, you got Chase Bryce, who was over there with us, and a lot of guys who not everybody got to be the scout team quarterback. It would be so funny when you would bitch a scout team quarterback and just make him go play receiver or something like that.
You'll love this. I had Sam Bradford as my scout team quarterback. And I remember specifically going to Sam and And I'm saying, this guy's never going to cut it. This guy, he just don't have it, man. He got to, I'm just thinking that you had to act like a middle linebacker or something to be a good scout team quarterback. In my young days, that's kind of how I thought. And so I remember like, no, you got to like, red, hit, bring the motion. You got to be demonstrative and you got to be like me, And Sam's like he's brilliant, really smart person. And he just looked at me, faceless, emotionless. And now knowing years later who Sam is, he had to be thinking, this guy's an absolute moron, absolute lunatic. This guy has no clue. And then, just a few months later, he goes on and he set some kind of freshman record. I think it was like 350 straight passes without an interception as a redshirt freshman in college football as a starter at Oklahoma. And so I was like, man, I got him ready, man. It was
right.
Through all that weeding process that we got Sam better. But no, I've kind of taken that mindset, that role, just try to get everybody better, try to create as much pressure, as much emotion, energy, intensity in those small moments that you have to get a team ready and get the scout team to get 100% buy-in. Like, I literally want you to beat the defense. And to me, that's how. And so the players on the other side of the ball, they knew it. They sensed the same intensity, the emotion. I took a lot of pride in executing or having success against that defense, that it became personal to them. And I wanted that. Okay, good. Like, I wanted them to hate me, like sometimes to be really good, sometimes you got to have hate in your heart for your enemy now and to get your best out of you. And that's what I wanted to do to the defense. I wanted them to want to make Green Bean's life miserable. And so, hey, mission accomplished. But create a lot of buy-in in the huddle. And so, man, I was really, really I'm being very sincere now. Flip that around. Like, the scout guys at Clemson were amazing. It became a cult type of a following, if you will, and belief in the system, and how we did what we did. And I really felt like that was another key ingredient in that secret sauce to winning at the highest level. And but sometimes your job is to make people very uncomfortable, to get the best out of them. And sometimes that's not a fun place to be that guy.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not a fun place to be. And sometimes, man, I was way out of line. You get so emotionally tied up in the moment. And, so in some ways I apologize, but in many ways I don't. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry.
As a defensive coordinator, you've coached against a lot of amazing players. Just give me a couple that made you afraid. I don't know if I want to use that word, but I'm being honest. Look, as a DC, who are a couple guys that you coached against who made you afraid?
Yeah, I would say Reggie Bush, Vince Young. I would say Lamar Jackson, Dalvin Cook. Those are some real home run guys. Michael Crabtree, Macklin at Missouri. I'm trying to think. A bunch of great ones. Those are some of the better ones that were in a system that really gave them a chance to be successful, and then in their own right, really, really tough to defend. Finding different ways where you got to be creative and always aware. Those are ones that jump out at you. And there's plenty more.
The one marker that when people hear your name is the intensity. If you could give the people a little bit, where does Coach Venables' intensity come from?
Yeah, I think it comes from love of what I do, passion for what I do. It comes from, trying to be excellent, like having this vision of what excellence looks like, and then like being completely and totally 100% immersed in trying to achieve it, have it, experience it, share it. Like, I'm so motivated for my players. I'm so motivated for the people we're playing for the past players, to make people proud, to make players thankful, to taking them to places that they can't get there on their own. Like they need some help. We all need some help. And so I think it's a combination of all of those things of just who doesn't love some excellence, like total domination, searching for perfection or getting close to it. But it just having a true, deep-seated passion and love and vision for what you're trying to accomplish.
Your get back coach, are those days over? Will you have a get back coach in Oklahoma?
Nobody can make me get back necessarily. No, I don't know. Hopefully I'll have some restraint. I'm the head coach, so now I got to be more serious and more composed. But no, I'm going to keep being who I've always been. I got to show discipline to the players. Absolutely. You got to be a great example for them. And certainly I'll be very mindful of that. So how do you think I'll do?
I don't know, man. I'm judging off the track record. Look, I think we're going to get a couple flags on the field. We'll see, though. But they'll be well worth it.
Hey, the only flag I had was my first practice. Ask Coach Sweeney about this. We had referees at practice, umpires.
Yeah,
and so the first play, we got first play of team, and I'm over on the sideline. I got 1 foot on the field, 1 foot off the field. And I'm down. I'm all fours. I'm watching the play, and I see out of peripheral, out the corner of my eye, I see the flag right next to this guy standing where he throws a flag, drops a flag right there. I'm like, what is that? Coach can't be on the field. So that's Coach Sweeney. It was a setup of all setups. And you best believe I'm going to have that guy ready to throw the flag on Ted Roof or Jeff Levy or DeMarco Murray. Right. Miguel Chavis. One of them dudes getting ready to get that flag on them. They're going to get off the field and let the players play. Right. So,
we'll see, man. No, that's definitely you've become a legend with the Get Back coach. It's been cool. All right, Coach. Episode 20, man, with Coach Venables. It's been a blessing, been a treasure. I think people have definitely enjoyed every tidbit of knowledge, information, storytelling. But just want to thank you for coming on. And personally, as alumni now, and I have no ties in this, I want to see Clemson, Oklahoma in the playoffs. That's what I want. That's what I want.
No,
I want to be sitting back and watch.
Hey, look, we can keep all that nonsense out of it. Let's just hope we both be our best selves. And so, listen, this was literally a nightmare. 2 years removed, going to Clemson, and I'm like, okay, I can go away. I can start over. I can just, reset. And we got to play Oklahoma. You don't have any idea. Like, I turned to my family and I was like, you got to be kidding me. This did not happen. Because there's friendships and that are very real and investment in your hearts. You still got pieces. Like, you don't just pack those up too,
Right.
So if you're about the right stuff, man, and you left the place, you feel like in a good way, like, I don't have any vindictive. I would rather I'd rather go beat somebody else's brains in. You know what I mean? Like, that's like how my mindset, I don't want to play friends. I know sometimes that's part of it. And if it happens and it happens, but honestly, like, I'm like prayerful that please don't do that to us. Like, really, honestly.
Hey, we'll see. We'll see how the cards fold. We'll see how everything goes. But I just want to thank you for coming on to the show. It's been a treat. Coach V, whatever you want to sign off to the people. But thank you for coming on.
Hey, Boomer.
Hey, man, appreciate you.
All right, appreciate
love you.
Much love.
Man, look, I tell you guys, I have the most fun just catching up with people I love, and Coach V is one of those people. And so hopefully you guys enjoyed that just as much as I enjoyed that. So many stories, great guy. Looking forward to seeing all the great things he does at the University of Oklahoma. Really excited because they got the best man for the job. And so, yeah, hats off to Coach Venables. Thank you for coming on to the podcast. Always love, forever family. You know that. All right, so here we are, guys. I say this every week. Thank you guys for tuning in, supporting us, because it really does mean the most. It means the world to me for you guys tuning in every week. And you just tune in for your first time. It all means a lot. But, guys, we got goals we set around here. We talk about standards. We talk about vision. We're on the cusp of 3,000 subscribers, which will be a huge milestone for the podcast. And so, look, take us there. Clemson fans, Oklahoma fans, I don't care who takes us there. If Oklahoma fans take me there, I might buy an OU hat because I'm secretly kind of indebted to y'all now because y'all took one of my favorite people. So whoever it is, let's get to 3,000 subscribers. Let's get to 4. Look, who says we can't get to 4,000 subscribers like next week? Let's do it. I'm going to continue to bring you guys good guests. No matter if you're a Clemson fan, college football fan, I feel like you'll always enjoy the people who come onto the podcast. So I just want to say a big thank you. Thank you in advance. Thank you for getting us to 3,000 subscribers. And then thank you guys for tuning in. This has been episode 20 here at the Players Club, a podcast by the players for the people. We'll be back next week. And I'm your host, Gary Richard. Peace. Thank you guys.